Now to one of those stories on this Saturday that fills your heart. A Bellevue University grad has earned her master's after an incredible uphill battle. Our Philip Katafamo shares her story of triumph and a story you'll only see on First Alert 6.
More than 800 Bellevue University students walked into Mid-America Center for graduation. With caps and gowns on, the occasion marks the end of a journey for the 2025 class. For Star Champ, her journey started 7 years ago. She was given life-altering news, stage 4 breast cancer, a month before her 28th birthday.
It was something that just kind of came out of nowhere. It was a little bit surreal because I didn't know that it was going to happen.
Star celebrated her 28th birthday with her first round of treatments. At the time, the Illinois woman was working full-time when she decided to make a change. Through her experience, she noticed a lack of support for survivorship.
Especially for people like me who are stage 4, I will always have treatments. So I just felt the need that there needs to be more care for people who are actually surviving and living through these diseases.
Her focus on survivorship led to Bellevue University and its counseling program. In 2021, Star enrolled and began working toward a master's degree. And throughout that time, she was getting treatment, got married, and had a surprise pregnancy. Then, another challenge.
During that time, I found like an enlarged lymph node in my throat, and we couldn't really do anything at first. We were just kind of watching it, and eventually they're like, okay, well, we need to do something. So I actually had to deliver 6 weeks early. Harrison, my son, spent about 2 weeks in the NICU, but he's perfectly healthy and he has no issues.
Star took one term off to recover, but got back to working on her degree shortly after. The support she received from friends, family, and her community kept her going.
It felt like I always had a hug. No matter what I was going through, there was always somebody there, even if they weren't physically present.
Saturday morning, Star joined her fellow graduates to receive diplomas. For her, a Master's of Science in Clinical Mental Health Counseling. She was seated on stage as this year's student commencement speaker, giving her a chance to share her story and reflect on how far she has come.
Never quit. There's always going to be something. Things pop up. It's hard. Acknowledge them. Don't try to just push them back in your brain and ignore them. Feel them, go through them, and then keep going.
Star still receives treatments every 3 weeks. The diploma in her hand reflects the incredible journey she's been on as her fight continues. In Iowa, I'm Philip Katafamo, First Alert 6.
You could see the excitement as she was crossing the stage holding up the diploma. Star tells First Alert 6 she's working towards earning her counselor license now and will soon start a job as a licensed professional counselor in Illinois.